Dear students, let us continue the question paper, preparatory question paper April 2021. In previous class, we have completed section C. Let us see the next section, that is section D, 8 marks questions. In that, total 6 questions will be given. Out of 6 questions, you have to answer any 4. So that is first question, 35th question. Explain the characteristics of management. Students, you have to remember that while writing the 8 marks question, first we have to write the introduction, then the given question is to be answered, and last we have to end with the conclusion. So here they have asked, explain the characteristics of management. So first you have to write as an introduction the meaning of management. So we already know the meaning of management, that is, management is the process of designing and maintaining an environment in which individuals working together in groups efficiently accomplish selected aims. So management is nothing but it is a process where the activities are to be handled in an organization to maintain an environment with individuals working together in groups, which is helpful to accomplish the selected aims. So that you have to write as an introduction. And next, the characteristics. Important characteristics of management. That is, management is a goal-oriented process. Management in an organization, one of the basic goals, which are the basic reasons for its existence. These should be simple and clearly stated. Different organizations have different goals. It means every business organization has its own objectives and goals, which is to be handled by the management. Next, management is all pursue. Management is all pursue. The activities involved in managing an enterprise are common to all organizations, whether economic, social, or political. So here we can say management is all pursue, means whatever the activities involved in an enterprise are common in all organizations. It may be whether it may be related to economically, socially, and politically. And management is multidimensional. Yes, in every business organization, the important thing that is management is an multidimensional, because the activities is to be in complex. There are 3 important dimensions. One, that is management of work, management of people, and management of operations. So these are the 3 dimensions of management. First, that is management of work. So management of work is nothing but in organization, the performance of a particular work is to be considered as one of the management of work. In a factory, a product is manufactured, that is, we can say as a management of work. In a garment store, customers' needs is satisfied, and in a hospital, a patient is treated. Management translates this work in terms of goals to be achieved and assign the means to achieve it. Whatever the work is to be done in business organization, the management helps to reach the goals of an organization. Next, management of people. People of an organization is an greatest asset in a business. People is human resources, which we can say as a greatest asset. Despite all developments in technology, getting work done through people is still a major task for the manager. So peoples are very important to manage the things. Management of operations. No matter what the organization is, it has some basic product or service to provide in order to survive. This requires a production process which entails the flow of input material and the technology for transferring this input into the desired output for consumption. So, management of operations in business organization, whatever the basic service is to be provided, it is only for the sake of in order to survive. So we can say whatever the production process is to be taken place in business organization, the production is nothing but the flow of input material is to be desired to get the output for consumption. So for this we can say as a management of operations. So in management management is a multidimensional. There are mainly three dimensions are there: management of work, management of people, management of operations. And next characteristics of management, that is management is a continuous process. Yes, management is a continuous process. Why? Because in every business organizations there will be a separate functions. We already know the functions of management, that is planning, organizing, directing, staffing and controlling. These functions are simultaneously performed by all managers at all time. So we can say it is a continuous process. Then management is a group activity. Obviously, why? Because management needs whatever the activities is to be done, it is in a group base. So, and every business organization is a collection of diverse individuals with different needs. Every member of group has a different purpose for joining the organization, but as members of the organization, they work towards fulfilling the common organizational goals. The management is one of the characteristics, that is, it is a group activity where the members of the organization or the workers of the organizations work together to reach the organizational goals. And last characteristics, that is management is a dynamic function. Management is a dynamic function and has to adapt itself to changing environment. Management is a dynamic function and it has to adapt itself to changing environment. And next one, that is management is an intangible force. Management is an intangible force that cannot be seen, but its presence can be felt in the way the organization functions. So intangible means we cannot see and touch it, but we can feel it. So management is one type of intangible. Why? Because it cannot be, the services is cannot be seen, but its presence can be felt in the way of organization functions. So these are the 7 important characteristics of management. So after writing all the points, you have to end with the conclusion. That is, management plays a very important role in every business organization. It helps to reach the goals and objectives of the firm. The above mentioned characteristics features helps the organization to reach the desired goal of an organization. So this is what about the important characteristics of management. And next question, that is 36th question, second question of 8 marks question. What is planning? Explain the various features of planning. So as an introduction, they have asked the meaning of planning only. So let us see what is the planning. Planning is deciding in advance what to do and how to do. It is one of the basic managerial function. Planning is nothing but what? It is the first function of management. Planning is nothing but thinking in advance what to do and how to do. It is one of the basic managerial function. Explain the various features they have asked here. So let us see the various features of planning. First one, that is planning focuses on achieving objectives. The first feature of planning, that it focuses on achieving the objectives of the organization. Yes. So planning means which is done in advance before implementing the activities. So planning is helpful to achieve the objectives and goals of the business organization. So that is one of the important feature of planning. The specific goals are set out in the plans along with the activities is to be undertaken to achieve the goals. Planning is to be set up to achieve the goals. Thus, planning is purposeful. It has no meaning unless it contributes to the achievement of predetermined organizational goals. So, planning is to be done to achieve the organizational objectives and goals, which has no meaning unless it contributes to the achievement. This is first feature of planning. Next, planning is a primary function of management. Yes, this is the first function of management. All other manager functions are performed within the framework of the plans drawn. Planning precedes other functions. So first planning, then the remaining functions activities are to be taken place. The various functions of management are interrelated and equally important. However, planning provides the basis of all other functions. So this is a primary function. With the help of this planning function, the remaining functions are to be provides a basic things. Next, that is planning is pervasive. Planning is required at all levels of management that we have already knew in every department. It is not an exclusive function of top management nor of any particular department, but the scope of planning differs at different levels and among different departments. Planning is pervasive. It means the planning takes place in every department, or we can say as all levels of management. It is not related for only one department or any one level. All levels means it may be the top level, middle level or low level. For example, we can say here the top level management undertakes planning for the organization as a whole. Top level management undertakes the planning as a whole. Middle level management does the departmental planning, and the lower level day-to-day operations planning is to be done. So like this, planning plays a very important role and it is a pervasive. And next, that is planning is continuous. Yes, planning is a continuous process. Why? Because it is applicable in all the levels, or also it is in a different all departments of the organization. Why it is continuous process? Because plans are prepared for a specific period of time, maybe for a month or a quarterly or a yearly. At the end of that period, there is a need for a new plan to be drawn on the basis of new requirements and further conditions, future conditions. So planning is to be done for a specific time period. Then after end of that period, next plan is to be done for a new requirements and future conditions. So we can say as a planning is a continuous process. Continuity of planning is related with the planning cycle. It means that a plan is framed, it is implemented and is followed by another plan and so on. So while ending of the one plan, next new plan is to be implemented. For that sake, we can say as a planning is continuous. Next feature of planning. Planning is futuristic. Planning essentially involves looking ahead and preparing for the future. Whatever the planning is to be done in every business organization, it is for a future. What are the steps is to be undertaken in future days? For that, we are going to make the plan. It implies the peeping into the future, analyzing it, and predicting it. Planning is therefore regarded as a forward looking function which is based on forecasting. Through forecasting, future events and conditions are anticipated and plans are drawn accordingly. Thus, we can say as a judgment. It is basically an intellectual activity of thinking rather than doing. It is very important. So, whatever the activities is to be done, it is thinking rather than doing. So, before doing anything, we have to think about that because planning determines the action to be taken. However, planning requires logical and systematic thinking rather than guess work or wishful thinking. In other words, we can say thinking of planning must be orderly and based on the analysis of facts and forecast. Yes, it is very important that planning is futuristic because planning is to be think before doing anything. So this is also one of the important feature of planning. Then last we are going to conclude the answer, that is planning is the primary function of management. It focuses to achieve the goal of the organization. It helps to identify the work, what to do and when to do. Thinking before doing. Next question, that is explain the importance of organizing. This is third question, that is explain the importance of organizing. Organizing is the second function of management. So before writing the importance, just we are going to write the introduction related to organizing. The management function of organizing ensures that efforts are directed towards the attainment of goals laid down in the planning function in such a manner that resources are used optimally and people are able to work correctly and effectively for a common purpose. So, organizing is the management function which ensures that efforts are directed towards the achievement of the goals with the help of planning function. The organizing is to be taken place. So, the importance of organizing, some of the points which are to be highlighted to roll the organization importance. So first, that is benefits of specialization is the first importance of organizing. Benefits of specialization. Organizing leads to a systematic allocation of jobs amongst the workflows. This reduces the workload as well as enhances productivity because of the specific workers performing a specific job on a regular basis. Repetitive performance of a particular task allows a worker to gain experience in that area and leads to specialization. So one of the importance of organizing, that is benefits of specialization. In every business organization, the specific work is to be performed in a regular basis because repetitive performance of a particular task which allows the workers to gain experience and increase the speciality of an individual. So we can say one of the importance, that is benefits of specialization. Next, that is clarity in working relationship. With the help of organizing, it plays a very important role. because it helps the workers to clarify the relationships among the employees. The establishment of working relationship clarifies lines of communication and specifies who is to report to whom. Means it helps to clarify the communication while working in the organization. This removes ambiguity in transfer of information and instructions. It helps in creating a hierarchical order, thereby enabling the fixation of responsibility and specification of the extent of authority to be exercised by an individual. Means in organizing, clarity in working relationship is to be taken place, where it helps to fix the responsibility and specifications of the authority by an individual. And next, that is optimum utilization of resources. Organizing leads to the proper usage of all materials, financial resources, human resources, etc. The proper utilization of resources is to be handled in a correct manner. It helps to avoid the duplication of works, helps in preventing the confusions, and minimizes the wastage of resources and efforts. So, the proper utilization of available resources is to be made. And next, that is adaptation to change. The process of organizing allows a business enterprise to accommodate changes in the business environment. If in every business organization, if the changes are required, that is to be made as per the situation. It allows the organization structure to be suitably modified and revision of the interrelationships among managerial levels to pave the way for a smooth transition. If the modifications are required, then the changes are to be adopted. Next, that is effective administration. Next importance of organizing, that effective administration. The second function of management, that is organizing, it provides a clear description of jobs and related duties. It helps to avoid the confusion and duplication. Clarity in working relationships enables proper execution of work, which we can say as effective administration is to be handled. Management of an enterprise thereby becomes easy, and this brings effectiveness in administration. If there is a good relationship while working, the work is to be executed in a correct manner. That becomes a easy and also effective work in an administration. And next, that is development of person. Next importance, development of person. Organizing stimulates creativity amongst the manager. Yes, organizing is one of the creativity which is to be done amongst the managers. Effective delegation allows the managers to reduce their workload by assigning routine jobs to their subordinates. So, the managers can be helpful to reduce their work by assigning that particular job to the subordinates, means workers. The reduction in workload by delegation is not just necessary because of limited capacity of an individual, but also allows the manager to develop new methods and ways of performing tasks. Delegation means transferring the authority from supervisors to the subordinates. The work is to be transferred to the subordinates to reduce the work of an individual and to develop the new methods to performing the task. It gives them the time to explore areas for growth and the opportunity to innovate, thereby strengthening the company's competitive position. So one more thing, that is the development of person, which is helpful to increase the innovative ideas with the help of opportunities and the strengthening the company's competitive position. For this, we can say the one of the importance of organizing, that is development of person. And last importance of organizing, that is expansion and growth. Yes, organizing helps in the development and growth, diversification of enterprises by enabling it to deviate from existing norms and take up new challenges. It allows a business enterprises to add more job positions, departments, and even diversify their product lines. New geographical territories can be added to current areas of operation, and this will help to increase customer base, sales, and profit. So one of the importance of organizing, that is expansion and growth. With the help of organizing, the growth of an organization is to be made, and the expansion of the business, which allows the business enterprises to add more job positions, departments, and even diversify their product lines, which is helpful to increase the customer base, sales, and profit. So these are the 7 importance of organizing. Then this question is to be end with the conclusion, that is, it is to be concluded that organizing is one of the important functions of management. It helps the organization to make utilization of resources and development of an organization as well as personnel. So this is what about the 37th question. Next, that is describe the steps involved in selection process. So let us see what is the meaning of selection. Selection is one of the concept of staffing. Yes, selection is the concept which is related to staffing. It is that part of the process of management which is concerned with obtaining, utilizing, and maintaining a satisfactory and satisfied workforce. So selection which is made with the help of staffing. Selection of a particular members in the organization, which is helpful, or we can say as a part of the process of management with obtaining, utilizing, and maintaining a satisfied workforce. So let us see the steps which are involved in selection process. The first one, that is primary screening. Second, selection test. In selection test, again 4 tests will be there. Next, third step, that is employment interview. Then fourth, reference and background checks. Sixth, selection decision. Next, medical examination, job offer. Then last one, contract of employment. So these are the 8 steps which are involved in process of selection. So let us see one by one. Primary screening. Primary screening means it helps the manager to eliminate unqualified seekers which are based on the information supplied in the application forms. So preliminarily interviews help reject misfits for reasons which did not appear in the applications forms. So preliminary means, which we can say as a primary, means it is a basic. First, preliminary screening is to be done. Means primarily we have going to done the screening before making the selection. First you have to make the screening which do not appear in the application forms. Next step, that is selection test. So here an employment test is to be made. After screening the primary applications, then you have to move towards the next step, that is selection test. Some of the tests is to be arranged to make the selection. So the test, these characteristics ranges from aptitudes such as malware, or we can say as a manual test, to intelligence, to the personality test is to be implemented. So in that first one, that is intelligence test, to know the psychologically how an individual is suitable. For that we are going to make a test called intelligence. This is one of the important psychological tests used to measure the level of intelligence quotient of an individual. It is an indicator of a person's learning ability or ability to make decisions and judgments. And next, that is aptitude test. Aptitude test means it is to measure an individual potential for learning new skills. It indicates the person's capacity to develop. Such tests are good indices of a person's future success score. So aptitude test is nothing but it is the test which is to measure an individual learning of a new skill. Next, personality test. So personality test provides clues to a person's emotions, reactions, maturity and value system, etc. This test is to be made to identify the person's reactions, emotions, etc. These are difficult to design and implemented. And next, fourth test, it is trait test. These tests measure the exciting skills of the individuals. They measures the level of knowledge and proficiency in the area of professions or technical training. Interest tests are used to know the pattern of interest or involvement of a person. So these are the tests which is taken place in the second step in the process of selection. So after completion of the test, third step, that is employment interview. We have to make an interview to communicate face to face, that we can say as a employment interview. It is a formal, in-depth conversation conducted to evaluate the applicant's suitability for the job, whether a particular applicant is suitable for a job or not. That is to be decided while taking the interview, or to seek the information that of the interview is to provide the same. Though in present times the interviewer also seeks information from interviewer. So after test we are going to handle the employment interview. Next, after completion of the interview, then we are going to reference or background checks. We have to make the check of reference and background of an employee. Many employers request name, address and telephone numbers of reference for the purpose of verifying the information, gaining additional information on an applicant. So previous employers, known persons, teachers and university professors can act as a reference. So from which reference the candidate is to be came, that we have to check it. So next, that is selection decision. Selection decision, after checking the reference, then you have to make the selection decisions. The final decision has to be made from among the candidates who passed the test, interview and reference checks. After passing the test, interview, then reference check, the final decision is to be made. The view of the concerned manager will be generally considered in the final selection, because it is who is responsible for the performance of the new employee that is to be taken place. Then after selection decision, if the candidate is selected, then you have to make the medical examination. After selection decisions, before the job offer, the candidate is required to undergo the medical fitness test. Yes. After selection, the candidate is to be undergone a medical fitness test. The job offer is given to the candidate being the declared fit after the medical examination. Then after completion of the medical examination, the job offer is to be provided. The next step in the selection process, that is job offer. Job offer is made through a letter of appointment or a confirm his expectation. Such a letter generally contains a date by which the appointee must report on duty. The appointee must be given reasonable time for reporting. That we can say as a job offer. Then last one, that is contract of employment. So after job offer, the last step of selection, that we can say, after the job offer has been made and candidate expects the offer, certain documents need to be executed by the employer and the candidate. One such document is an attestation form. This form contains certain vital details about the candidate which are authenticated and attested by him or her. Attestation form will be a valid record for future reference. So this is the last step of selection. Then last conclusion, that is, it is to be concluded that the process of selection is very important in an organization because it helps to select the right person for a right job. So this is what the process of selection. Next question, that is, explain the qualities of a good leader. 39th question, that is 5th question, explain the qualities of a good leader. So first we are going to write a meaning of leadership as an introduction. Leadership quality indicates ability of an individual to influence others. Obviously, leadership is nothing but it is the quality where it indicates the ability of an individual to influence others. A leader tries to bring change in the behavior of others. Some of the good qualities of good leader. The qualities of good leader are explained as below. First one, that is physical features. Physical features. Physical features like it may be the height, weight, health, appearance determine the physical personality of an individual. To become a good leader, physical feature is also very important. So it is believed that good physical feature attract people. Health and endurance help a leader to work hard, which inspires others to work with the same tempo. If a person or an employee is having the good personality or good feature or physical of an individual, it helps to inspire the others to do the work in a good way. So this is one of the important that is physical feature. And next one, that is knowledge. Good qualities, good leader quality, that is knowledge. A good leader should have a required knowledge and competence. Only such person can instruct subordinates correctly and influence them. So knowledge is very important to become a good leader. Next, that is integrity. A leader should possess high level of integrity and honesty. He should be a role model to others regarding the ethics and values. So integrity and honesty is also very important. Next, initiative. A leader should have courage and initiative. He should not wait for opportunities come to his way. Rather, he should grab the opportunities and use it to the advantage of organization. So, to become a good leader, an initiative activity is also very important to take the advantage of an opportunity of an employee. Next, that is communication skills. A leader should have a good communicator. Leader should be a good communicator because he must have a capacity to explain the ideas, to understand the people. He should not only a good speaker but also a good listener. Teacher, counselor and persuade means communication skill is also very important to become a good leader. Then motivation skills. A leader should be an effective motivator. Yes, to encourage the employees to take the work from them. Motivator means to become a good leader, he should be an effective motivator. Motivation skill is also very important. He should understand the needs of the people and motivate them to satisfying their needs. And next, that is self-confidence. One of the quality of a good leader, that is self-confidence. A leader should have high level of self-confidence. He should not lose his confidence even in most difficult times. He should have a self-confidence more. In fact, if the leader lacks self-confidence, he cannot provide confidence to his followers. So he need a self-confidence. Next, that is decisive. So leader should have a decisive in managing the work. Once he is convinced about a fact, he should be firm and should not change opinions frequently. He should be in a constant way. Then, social skills. A leader should be sociable and friendly with his colleagues and followers. He should understand people and maintain good human relations with them. To handle the people friendly, the social skill is also very important to become a good leader. So, these are the important qualities which are required to become a good leader. The conclusion, that is, a leader is a person who have an ability to handle the activities and human behavior in an organization to achieve the organizational objectives. Some of the important qualities are required to be a good leader. The next question, that is last question of 8 marks section in section D. Explain any 8 factors affecting the working capital requirement of an organization. This is a very important question which is given from the financial management lesson, financial management 9th chapter, that is. So the factors which are affecting the working capital requirements that we have to explain here. So financial management is concerned with optimal procurement as well as the usage of finance. Yes, financial management is concerned with the optimal utilization of the finance. Some of the factors which are affecting the working capital requirements, that is first one, nature of business. The basic nature of business influences the amount of working capital required. A trading organization usually needs a smaller amount of working capital compared to a manufacturing organization. This is because there is usually no processing. Therefore, there is no distinction between raw materials and finished goods. Sales can be effected immediately upon the receipt of materials, sometimes even before that. In a manufacturing basis, however, raw materials needs to be converted into finished goods before any sales becomes possible. Other factors remaining the same, a trading business requires less working capital. Similarly, service industries which usually do not have to maintain inventory require less working capital. So the nature of business, first factor which is affecting the working capital, it should be the compared of smaller amount of working capital which is compared with the manufacturing organization. This is the important nature of organizing of the business, that the raw materials and the finished goods is to be compared. In business organization, the manufacturing department plays a very important role. Why? Because the raw materials needs to converted into finished goods before any sales becomes possible. That we can say as a working capital requirement. And next, that is scale of operations. For organizations which operate on a higher scale of operation, the quantum of inventory and debtors required is generally high. Such organizations therefore require large amount of working capital as compared to the organizations which operate on a lower scale. So, the second working capital requirement, that is the large number of working capital amount, is to be compared with the lower side, means lower scale of an working capital, where the inventory and the data is required in a higher level. And next, that is business cycle. Different phases of business cycle affect the requirement of working capital by a firm. In case of a boom, the sales as well as productions are likely to be larger, and therefore larger amount of working capital is required. As against this, the requirement for working capital will be lower during the period of depression, as the sales as well as production will be small. So business cycle means it is one of the process which is to be circulated from the production department to the selling department. So here the required of working capital will be lower during the period of depression, and the sales as well as production will be small. And next, that is seasonal factors. Most business has some seasonality in their operations. In peak season, because of higher level of activity, larger amount of working capital is required. So here large number of working capital is required. So when the working capital is taking place, so here in nature of business, working capital is required in a less. In nature of business, working capital is required in a less. In scale of operations, working capital is required. Amount of working capital is compared to the organizations with a lower scale. Large amount of working capital is required. Business cycle. In business cycle, the requirement of working capital will be lower. And in seasonal factors, the working capital is required in a large amount. And next, that is production cycle. In production cycle, the working capital takes place in every business organization in a higher level, and also in lower in the firm with shorter processing cycle. So production cycle, it is the time span between the receipts of raw materials and their conversion into finished goods. Some business has a longer production cycle while some have shorter one. Duration and the length of production cycle affects the amount of funds required for raw materials and expansion. Consequently, working capital required is higher. So in production cycle, working capital required is higher and lower in firms which with shorter processing cycle. And next, that is credit allowed. Different firms allowed different credit terms to their customers. These depend upon the level of competition that a firm faces as well as the credit worthiness. A liberal credit policy results in higher amount of debtors, increasing the requirements of working capital. So credit allowance is also possible in the business organization where the working capital requires increases the requirement of working capital in a higher amount of debtors. And next, that is credit availed. So just as a firm allows credit to its customer, it also may get credit from its suppliers. So credit allowed means you are going to give the credit facility to the customers, whereas credit allowed means company is going to get the facility of credit. Thus, the extent it avails the credit on purchases, the working capital required is reduced. And last one, that is operating efficiency. Next factor that is affecting the working capital, operating efficiency. The firms manage their operations with varied degrees of efficiency. For example, a firm managing its raw materials efficiency may be able to manage with a smaller balance. This is reflected in a higher inventory turnover ratio. So these are that we can say as operating efficiency, where the managing the raw materials efficiency may be able to manage with a smaller base, which is reflected in a higher inventory turnover, that we can say as operating efficiency. So these are the 8 important factors which are affecting the working capital requirements. It is to be concluded that the financial management plays a vital role in business organization. It helps the firm to make the optimum utilization of financial resources. The working capital requirements helps in the achievement of manufacturing organization. So these are the 6 questions which are related to section D. These questions are from preparatory exam April 2021. So let us continue with the next class with the next section, that is practical oriented questions. Okay, thank you.